And welcome back to another episode of the Baseline Bums podcast. It is your host, Rob, aka B-Ball Archives. And once again, I am joined by my homie AJ. Thanks for being here, my dude.
Absolutely. I'm joined by my three closest friends. We're on a group chat together. It's great.
Absolutely. That is a wonderful group chat. Looking heavenly over there, brother. Yeah, we got a lot of great stuff to talk about. Obviously, last night, Wemby and Chet went head to head. That is that is the rookie of the year race right there. We saw
Yep.
them play. They matched up last night. A lot of interesting stuff to take away from that game, that Spurs Thunder game right there.
Yep.
And then we're going to be moving right on to some midseason awards. Where we feel like MVP's looking so far midway through the season, most improved player, even coach of the year. We're going to dive into all of
All
it.
of it. All of it.
Yep.
All of it. I'm really excited about it. I think you and I are probably going to be very similar with what we have in terms of our midseason predictions and stuff like that. And also, if we got some time, the All-Star starters got announced literally like 20 minutes ago.
Right.
So we
That's
are going
fresh.
to dive into that a little bit too. And yeah, I'm super excited about. We had a big game last night, and by big game, I mean I really just wanted to watch two players play because we all knew what was going to happen, and it happened. And I'm not mad about it, but man, I do got to say it is frustrating. It is so hard to watch the Spurs sometimes. Our team is just our defense is just Swiss cheese, man. It's so bad. It's and the Thunder weren't doing anything crazy. It was literally drive, kick, pass, you're done. I mean, that's
Right.
all they were doing. They weren't doing anything crazy. It wasn't like they were doing back doors or anything. It was literally just drive, kick, extra pass, open shot. That's all it was.
But
And
but those
yeah,
drives are so aggressive, and
yeah,
our
for sure.
defense didn't really know what to do with it.
Yeah, we had a lot of people out of position because of it, for sure. Um,
Absolutely. And yeah, and it's really tough because obviously we're the two youngest teams in the NBA when you're looking at the Spurs and the Thunder, but we're at such different stages in our development. So as much as I would love to compare our teams, we are literally night and day difference. And
yeah, you
last
can't
night was an
really do
example
that.
of that.
Yeah, I mean, the score is 140 to 114. And we were talking about this last night, and it's like, we're gonna get 30 piece, and we did. we,
Yeah.
we really did. And
But you know what? I wanted to see a different 30 piece. I wanted to see Victor Wembanyama play 30 minutes last night, and he barely played 27.
I whatever, man. I don't know what to think about it anymore. I'm just annoyed at this point with the season. Honestly, like we're what 40 plus games into the season. We're 44 games into the season. Shout out George Gervin. And I am just I like watching Wimby play, but I hate the minutes restrictions. I hate when he comes out. I feel like sometimes he comes out at the wrong times, like when momentum is literally swinging, and we're like, pull the best player, and then we have it. Then he doesn't come in until it's too late when the momentum's going on, and you're like, how that would just putting Wimby in when he's not even ready to play. I mean, it's frustrating. I'm still going to watch because I love my Spurs, but the minutes restriction is getting kind of old. Hopefully that goes away because I would love to see him actually play 30, 35, maybe even 40 minutes at times, because we're until then, all these numbers that he has are just kind of skewed. Like they're just we don't know what's his potential because we don't even know. He's only playing 25, 26, 27 minutes.
Right. His per 36 numbers look bonkers whenever you look at him. And you know what? Like 40 minutes a game, I don't even know if I would want him to play that, but I just want him to play the amount that's necessary to win a close game.
Right.
Whether that's 30 minutes, 35 minutes, I just want to see him down the stretch in a close game and just kind of screw the minutes restriction. Sure, if we're getting blown out, a game like
Yeah.
last night, I'm complaining he didn't play 30 minutes, but I understand why he didn't play 30 minutes. There was no
Sure.
chance we could even salvage anything from that game late on. But I just want to see Pop get a little bit competitive with Wemby
Right.
and try to win late in the game and just kind of let the minutes restriction just blow in the wind from time to time. And we haven't seen that. And I'm at least hoping he starts playing back to back games.
Yeah.
That's a minimum.
But I also hope I just want I want Pop and I want our organization to show us this is what we could look like if we tried to win the game. I mean, I know that they're trying to win. I'm just not, but for me, it's we've had some really close games as of late with Trey Jones as the point guard, and we see that it's obviously made a difference, and we see that we're in it, and then in the fourth quarter, like we don't bring Wemby back in until 6 minutes left or 5 minutes left or 4 minutes left, or we don't start him in the fourth quarter. Like there's things like that that I would like to see just our coaching staff try to go after one. I don't know. I don't care who it is. Maybe against the Blazers tomorrow. Who knows? But this is also off the heels of getting 70 piece by Embiid. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it.
Right. Yeah, he was fresh off that onslaught. But hey, at the same time, Wemby did not just keel over and die. He put
No,
up 33
no.
and 7 in an efficient manner. And Joel Embiid looked a little confused on defense whenever he tried to extend himself, reached out his arm, and Wemby kind of just scooped up and around
Right.
him. And he was like, "Oh wow, I really don't have anything in my arsenal to deal with that."
Right.
So it was kind of nice seeing even a defender and a presence like Joel Embiid be a little confused by how to deal with
Sure.
Wemby, even though he scored 70 freaking points.
Yeah, he shot the ball, total with free throws 64 times. He's the reigning MVP. They have championship hopes. So like I'm not upset about it because he's still an NBA player at the end of the day. So you're not he's going to have those games whether it's against Spurs or against the Lakers or whoever, it doesn't matter. He's an NBA player. He was getting to the rack for sure, but I mean his jumper was on. He was just shooting around the key. You look at his shot chart, and it's all just around the key. And
Yeah.
it's maybe one pump and then takes it up. Maybe it's he just grabs it and shoots it. But I mean Zach Collins, that was rough. Poor guy. That was rough.
Yeah, he
Anyway,
he he was in a blender.
yeah,
Yeah,
we digress. Let's definitely get back to the Wimby chat.
I was about
I
to
had
say
a
Wemby didn't win that matchup, but let's talk about a matchup he did win.
when he was blocking Chet, I was like, yes, do it again, do it again. I was so
Right.
excited. I
And
was
there
so
was
excited.
and there was moments where Victor almost just put his head down. He took a dribble, took 1, 2 steps, and then just finished at the rim. And that was what a lot of people were saying he wasn't going to be able to do, even against a guy like Chet. And I know that they're both very, very slender in frame, but Victor proved last night that he's physically imposing against a guy like Chet. Like he can put his shoulder down and move a guy like Chet. So
Absolutely.
that
And
was
he
that
was
was really
grabbing
nice.
rebounds. He was definitely grabbing rebounds. It was great. And it was fun. It was definitely fun to watch, but they're two completely different players on what they do for their team. Like Chet's not really the guy. Like he's a great piece to have that can spread the floor, get you on defense, things of that nature. But like their roles are completely different, and it's hard to really compare the two when their roles are so different. Like if Chet was the number one guy, then I would be like, okay, cool, let's see how this works. But he's not. I don't even know if he's number two or he might be 3, 4, somewhere
Well,
in
I
there.
mean, I think there's some nights where Chet's the third option because over the last 15 games, Jalen Williams has been absolutely remarkable.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he's been averaging over 21 points a game, like 6 assists, a few rebounds, and when you think about him as your second or third option, Chet's the second or third option. I feel like that they kind of just blend together a little bit. So
Right.
but yeah, dang, that's just a lot for us to deal with. But especially whenever we have Keldon going 3 for 8, Sohan
Yeah.
going 1 for 7. Like we
With
can't
two air
have
balls too.
right with 2 air balls. We can't have those kind of guys shooting that way against a team like OKC and expect to even be within 10 points. Like
Oh, yeah,
Victor can't do everything. I mean, he was 24 and 12 with 50% from the field, 4 blocks. I mean, like, what more can you expect Victor to do?
yeah, and I mean, some of the shots Devin Vassell was making. I mean, he had 21 points, but some of those shots, I'm like, whoa, he. I did not know he could make that shot because he was like coming around the baseline and just doing like turnaround fadeaways, and you're going, that's a terrible shot, and it's just nothing but strings. Just like, oh, okay,
But that's the frustrating part
yeah,
though,
oh
is
yeah,
he'll make that shot and then there's another game where he'll go 1 for 12 and miss that same difficult jump shot
yeah,
8 to 10 times that game, and it's like,
right.
well, let's refine the shots you're taking and take smarter shots, maybe 1 or 2 less shots, but I guarantee you'll end up with more points because you're going to take smarter shots. So I think that's going to be the maturation process with Devin Vassell down the road.
For sure. But I do think we saw that this rookie of the year conversation is pretty straightforward. Like, bearing any kind of weird things happening down the road. But I would say it's, we can, I don't say it's a lock, but it's pretty close to.
We know
And
it's Wemby.
we know it's Wemby. It has to be
Yeah.
Wemby. I mean, you saw them play head to head,
Yeah.
and I think we play them maybe one more time or so. Um, Possibly. I need to double check that. But with Wemby, he looks great. Like, he just looks like a killer, and he has that killer instinct. And I know we were down, but the fact that he kind of got into Chet's face a little bit after he dunked on him, I mean, and,
Yeah.
and then, or like when he blocked him and stared him down, like, I'm excited about that part. That made me excited because I hope Chet takes some notes and comes back the next game when we play them and actually like does stuff. I think it's definitely bulletin board material. But let's be honest, this rookie of the year conversation's pretty much on the last page.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think the point you brought up earlier, Chet not being the number one option on his team, is really hurting him in this rookie of the year race because Wembanyama has so many opportunities to do his thing. I just don't want to minimize what Chet's doing because he's still putting together a very, very solid rookie campaign. And even last night on Wemby, he was 17 points, 9 rebounds on,
He had a
pretty
great
good
game.
efficiency. Yeah. He
Great
just
game. Terrible beard.
yeah, he's just Abraham Lincoln looking motherfucker. Yeah, seriously. That's just, and honestly, coming from somebody that has like a really patchy, almost Amish looking beard, like, dude needs to shave that. Like,
Yeah, it was rough. Even my wife was like, "What is this guy doing?" I don't know.
yeah, but I mean, ultimately, this is, I think you're hitting the nail on the head. Wemby's going to walk away with the Rookie of the Year race. I don't think that it's going to surprise too many people if he's putting up 20 points, 10 rebounds, and he's leading the league in blocks per game. I think it's going to be
Yeah,
a no brainer.
yeah. It's crazy to watch him play defense. One of my favorite things he does is if there's an open 3-point shooter and he's running at them and he knows he can't get them, he just jumps in the air with his hands up, just to give you that extra like, oh, is he going to get that? And then and you saw it yesterday several times with SGA. He got to the paint and was like, oh, okay, no shit.
He
Like
had to think.
everyone looks for him, and they do have to think. I mean, I'm sure Josh Giddey's having nightmares about Wimby right now. That first block that he had where he just pulled it down. Ooh,
He
ooh.
just
I was
snatched
like,
that.
I do that on 2K, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's just ultimate level of disrespect. But I was entirely here for that because, in all honesty, Josh Giddey deserves some disrespect right now. I think we can all agree he deserves a little bit of
I'm
disrespect.
kind of surprised Pop didn't get on the microphone and be like, quit booting him.
Oh, not for Giddey. Not for Giddey. But yeah, so I guess this is a perfect segue to kind of just move on into the midseason awards since we just kind of talked about Rookie of the Year a little bit and how Wemby's kind of walking away or more so sprinting away with that award. Um, let's just move right on to MVP.
Sure.
AJ, who are you thinking is going to be the 2024 MVP?
I think it will be Joel Embiid again. I mean, he's playing out of his mind right now. He's playing absolutely out of his mind. He's dominating the game. He looks really happy too. And I think he's in that really good comfort zone. He's in his prime. He's perfect candidate for back-to-back MVPs. And I know we've kind of gotten to this habit of starting to do back-to-backs a lot more. We did it with Yoke, we did it with Nash, and all that stuff. I think we did Timmy win back-to-back? No, he didn't. Or did
Yeah,
he?
Timmy won back to back.
Yeah. So, we there's a
Giannis.
lot of Giannis, yeah. So there's a lot of back to backs, but I mean, when you find your comfort zone, you find your niche, and Joel Embiid is definitely proving that. And you saw him score 70 points against us, and
That's
I mean
ridiculous.
he was already averaging 35 points, and then just adds another point on top of that. Like, is this dude gonna average like 40 points a game? Like, is he going for it? I mean, it's impressive. It's really impressive, and the team is getting him the ball. He's in that zone, and I it's hard for me to see anyone else kind of catch up to him.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I think it's got to be Joel Embiid. The scoring season that we're seeing from him right now is nothing short of historic. If he ends up averaging more points per game than minutes per game, it'll be the first time that's been done since Wilt Chamberlain. So I think that's kind of crazy in itself. And when you look at everything, I also got to give Nick Nurse credit because he
Sure.
has him playing in a very specific way. And you brought this up earlier. He's catching the ball at the top of the key. He's slowing things down. He's taking a pump fake, maybe two pump fakes, and he's able to lull his defender and then get to the basket. And if he's not getting a layup, he's getting fouled and shooting a bunch of free throws. And it's just leading to
Right.
one of the craziest scoring seasons we've ever seen. So I think it's got to be Embiid solely based on the offense.
Yep. Absolutely. And I think having a true point guard in Maxi helps a lot. Also you don't there's no other mouth to feed. There's literally no other mouth to feed. And if Maxi has a great game, Maxi, great, awesome. But you're the dude. The team's literally built around him. They got spot up shooters all around him. So it's tailor made for him to win MVP, and also for them to make a long run in the playoffs, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the main question is, can he stay healthy long enough to do that? And that remains to be seen because man, his usage rate is really high so far this year.
Yeah.
I hope his body can sustain that. But
He's
yeah,
I mean he's in his prime. So, I
that's
think
true.
I think his body is ready for it. He's in his what, like, eighth season now or something like that. So it's all repetitive at this point, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's just about getting in that routine. But we all know Joel Embiid. He can break down unexpectedly. But
Yeah, that's
let's
true.
hope he remains strong for the rest of the season. But yeah, moving on. Let's move on to defensive player of the year.
I'm gonna let you go first on this one, bud. I'm
Yeah,
curious to know. I'm curious to know who you got.
I mean, I think I gotta go Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I, I think
Yeah.
I'm going Rudy Gobert. He not only is anchoring and is the main rim protector on the number one defense which has been the number one defense for the majority of the year. That
Yeah.
Timberwolves defense is really really stubborn, and I got to give him credit. 3 4 years ago, he really struggled to defend the 3 point shot. And now he is no longer a pick and roll liability. He can get out on the perimeter, and he is not suspect when he is trying to defend somebody in a 3 point space. So I
Sure.
gotta give him credit and and just kind of draw attention to the fact that he's a much more complete defender now than he used to be. And I think that he's
Yeah.
deserving of that
Yeah.
depoy.
Absolutely. And also it allows Cat to kind of be there. You know, he doesn't have to be that defensive anchor down low and really play both sides of the ball, even though he can. But to have, it's a twin tower situation. To have someone like that on the other side, just to know if you can take a little more risk with some of your matchups, and if you get beat, Rudy Gobert's on the other side waiting for that person. So I mean, it's a great situation. I mean those T Wolves are looking real good with Ant. Ant was my number 2 MVP, by the way. He's playing like an MVP in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
Um, and then, but yeah, I also have Rudy Gobert. I don't really think it's terribly close. I mean, you can make an argument for a lot of people, but they're all kind of in that's no one's really stepped up in terms of like Rudy Gobert. Does that like just there's Rudy Gobert, and then there's like a handful of tier twos, and a lot of the tier twos are kind of wing players, and some of them are bigs, but you can't really. They're not doing what Rudy Gobert is doing.
Right. I mean, sure, Bam Adebayo is having a good defensive season, but I'm not about to say that his impact has been greater than Rudy's because Rudy's been anchoring the number one defense. Come on, let's get real.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. I mean, you can say Derek White like we talked about in the last episode, but again, he's not doing what Rudy Gobert is doing.
yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more, brother. Yeah, so yeah, we are in agreement with all three of them so far. Let's just keep
Oof.
let's just keep going. All right, we're going sixth man. Sixth man of the year. So I went with Deep Boy. So we're gonna go back to you. Who are you feeling for sixth man of the year?
Manu Ginobili. No.
I was gonna go with Jamal Crawford.
Oh man, that's a fun debate. We should get into that one of these days.
Yeah.
That'd be a fun time. Um, you know, it's up and down for me. It's I feel that you can give it to a handful of guys, but I think I'm gonna go with probably Tim Hardaway Jr. right now because I also live in the Metroplex too, and just I see him, I see what he's doing, especially with Kyrie being out, Luka being out recently. He's really put up some good numbers. He's hitting his three ball, which has always been kind of his ups and downs. Is what Tim Hardaway does is how far the Mavs can go, and I feel if you give him this kind of six man award, I think that boosts him even more confidence. And Luka needs Tim Hardaway in order to get back to the Western Conference Finals. So that's who I got right now.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. He's the guy that I have second on my six man of the year list. You're right. He's averaging over 18 points a game. He stepped up tremendously. He had a 41-point game recently.
Yep.
He's absolutely been going off in a pretty efficient way too. But yeah, I think I got to give the award to Malik Monk.
Sure.
When I look at that Sacramento Kings team and I look at just how much drop off of scoring from their starters to their second unit, they rely on Malik Monk so much for that offensive punch coming off the bench. So if he was to get hurt, I really don't even know what their offensive game plan would be for their second unit. And there's really
just
no
pray in a circle.
exactly. There's really no other guy that I feel like has that much second unit responsibility offensively, even though when Luka went down and Kyrie's kind of been iffy in the lineup, Tim Hardaway Jr. also kind of has that responsibility. But I feel like Malik Monk consistently has that. He had that last year too, and I feel like didn't get credit for it enough. And so I feel like I would like to see Malik Monk walk away with that award.
Yeah, absolutely. He's having a fantastic year. I completely agree. It's going to depend on what the voters think, and also there's always that chance that someone comes out of nowhere and starts to play really well or something. I don't know. We'll see. I was kind of hoping Keldon Johnson could have been that kind of guy, but he's not.
Right.
Also, we real quick going back to the Spurs Thunder. I was really impressed with Blake Wesley's defense during that game. Active hands, fast feet. At least in the first half when it was close. But I was very impressed with Blake Wesley's defensive performance. So shout out to Blake Wesley. Might be the only time we do it. So Got to give him his flowers.
Right. I think his defensive energy is where he can actually see some good playing time because, sometimes he's a little bit too spastic on offense and does
Yeah.
things that are a little bit questionable. His decision making needs some improvement. But that defensive energy, if he's
Yep.
if he's putting that kind of defensive energy out on a regular basis, then let's get this young man some minutes.
Absolutely. He's taken away Malachi's.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's completely taken away his minutes.
Which I don't hate because Malachi is, hey, he has been streaky. He has been
Some would
very
say.
streaky. Oh yeah, but yeah, so okay, so that's a good six man of the year, and we had different answers. There we go. I like that. All right, let's move on to most improved player. So
Who you got?
I think most improved player, I'm gonna go with Alperen Şengün. I'm gonna go with
Ooh.
I'm going with Şengün.
Ooh.
Um,
Ooh.
his scoring has increased. He's really really taken on a larger load within that Houston offense, and it really hasn't come with like a lot more minutes per game. It's not like his production's going up just because he's getting more minutes. His production's going up just because they're finding more ways to get him the ball and finding more ways for him to be successful because they know that, this guy is that good.
Yeah.
So his scoring went up from 14 points a game ish last year to a little over 22 this year. That's a really remarkable improvement. Also, his assists are up two per game without any increase in turnovers at all. So I think
It's not bad.
there's a lot of improvement whenever I'm looking at this young guy. And you know what? He had a lot of answers, a lot of questions to be answered whenever there was two veterans that came into this team, a new coach, and
Yeah.
he's responding to that very well. So I think if Şengün wins this award, it's not going to surprise me all that much.
Yeah. No, I mean, I didn't even, honestly, be honest with you, I didn't even think about him because my mind went directly to Tyrese Halliburton. I feel that, obviously he's been a stud for a long time now, but I feel this year he's really taken a leap in terms of his leadership and just overall confidence, and watching the Pacers play and watching them win is, really because of him. I mean, they have a good squad, but it's really because of him. And he's had some breakout games. So that's where my mind went. But I kind of, as a 1B, 1A, 1B. Also have Tyrese Maxey. I think he's done the same thing for the Sixers. I think with losing Harden and kind of taking that second person role as the co-host to Joel Embiid, I think he's really taken that step forward with just his overall play. But both of them aren't, improving too terribly high like Sagoon with their points, but they have improved 3 to 5 each one. So, I those are my two favorites. But that's really up in the air still. We'll see how the rest of the season goes. But mid season, I would either go Maxi or Tyrese Halliburton. Probably more Tyrese Halliburton because I love his game.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with that because, like you said, the role that he's taken on, his leadership has expanded quite a bit, and yeah, it seems like if your name is Tyrese, you are improving.
You're
You
one of AJ's favorite players and
right,
singers and actors.
right. You are a dope human being if your name is Tyrese. Hell yes. Yeah, I agree. I also want to give a shout out to Kobe White, who's also having a really, really a big season in comparison to his season prior. But I think he falls into the category of guys that their production increased because of minutes increased. He's playing like 12 more minutes than he did last
Yeah.
year. So it was hard for me to say he's most improved player. And also shout out to Shaden Sharp. He's doing well. He's been out the last few games, but he's looking really, really improved upon last year. So I feel
I
like
would take any of these guys on the Spurs team right now.
yes, with a smile on my face.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. So, okay, so that rounds out a good most improved player category. Let's move on to coach of the year.
Well, I had one, but then he got fired.
Yeah. Adrian Griffin was your coach of the year?
No, no. Um, that's also a tough one for me.
Because it should be Coach Pop, right? Coach Pop is
It's
the
always Coach Pop.
it's always
It's
Coach
always
Pop.
Coach Pop.
Coach Pop is the
Um,
coach of the year. It just happens. He's the coach of basketball in general. So it's yeah.
yeah. Uh, it's not. Who was the who's the coach that got mad at I was the Raptors coach that he got mad at something. It was recently. It was really funny.
Oh yeah,
Oh, because he's like, you don't know basketball or something like that. That was hilarious.
dude, I did love that. I did love that.
I right now I had to look up his name because I forgot his name. Chris Finch with the Timberwolves. That's my coach of the year. He should be coach of the year. They're playing out of their minds. We have Rudy Gobert as defensive player of the year. You can even put in Ant as MVP. Cat still Cat, one of the best big men right now in the league. So that's where I got Chris Finch, T Wolves.
Yeah, I don't hate that. He's number 2 on my list. I gave a slight edge to Mark Daigneault in OKC. I think the way he's got that offense moving, it went from like all right, how are they going to get these young role players to gel to like, all right, this team is a potential contender, and that happened
Yeah.
so quickly. And it happened because he was able to identify strengths and weaknesses within that lineup. He's got them doing back cuts and really, really just attacking the basket in an aggressive way, and taking advantage of all of the qualities that their talented players have. So I think, he reminds me of like a young Pop in certain ways. I don't want to give him too much credit, but just the way he's able to utilize even bench players, I think
Yeah.
that there's a certain quality to that offense that I think it's kind of it's almost poetic in a way, because
Oh yeah.
there's a flow to it, and
Yeah.
I miss the days when Spurs played that way.
Yeah. One of these days we might get back to that. Sometimes I catch myself watching that most beautiful game video, or like, once a month, honestly, because it's so pretty.
That's
And then
10 years old. That's
yeah,
10
well,
years old.
yeah, it's just freaking 10 years old, isn't it? It's when Patty didn't have hair. Patty's hair was as long as yours, and now it is not.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man. And then mascot of the year, Coyote. Duh.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
Coyote.
he's the only mascot where you can just take off his eyes and then like scare the hell out of the crowd. Dude, that's
That's one
happened.
of my favorite bits he does. He's like, oh, oh.
Bro, seeing the little kids' faces when he takes off the eyes, oh my goodness. Like there's some worlds that are shattered right there. Like the curtain is pulled back. Yeah,
He's been doing the same dunk for 40 years too.
and it doesn't get old.
It doesn't get old, but for some reason it still works. Oh man, I forgot that ice thing got me, man. I'm not gonna lie, that was fun.
Bro, I'm telling you. But dude, when I was there most recently, I don't think I saw DJ Quake.
Oh, DJ Quake. Who started the DJs in arenas? Because it was never a thing, and then now everyone has a DJ, everyone has a drum line. I can't believe we got rid of the silver dancers, but we have the, what are they called, the hype squad, or
Yeah, the hype squad.
is that what they're called, hype squad?
Yeah, something hype squad. Yeah, honestly, shout out Silver Dancers. They were way cooler. You actually knew their names. They would like introduce them, and like it was a part of yeah, they were a
Oh,
part of
dude,
the
what would everyone do before the games? Go take pictures with the silver dancers. I have
exactly.
dozens of pictures with silver dancers, and I'm sure everyone else does in San Antonio. I mean, they were a fantastic squad, and they crushed it. They crushed it every single time. But that's one of the best things I love about having League Pass is being able to watch the halftime shows. I just haven't caught Red Panda yet. I need to see Red Panda with her bowls and her what the unicycle. Oh man, dude, Red Panda is my favorite halftime act of all time. No one
That
can touch it.
that is elite entertainment. If you don't
Always.
know what we're talking about, Red Panda.
Red Panda. That's I don't know anyone else's name halftime circuit. Quick change was cool, but Red Panda was is the greatest halftime performance ever. I would follow her on tour if I had the money to do so, so I could go to the game and just be like, I'm just here for halftime.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's honestly just like like a ticket to her event at that point.
Yeah, when she
Oh
gets
yeah.
those balls all the way up her leg, I don't know how she does it. I don't know
Yeah.
how she does it. It's talent, God given.
Oh yeah. Honestly, it's more talent than we see out of the Spurs sometimes. So yeah, can't complain
Maybe
with that.
Jeremy Sohan should buy a unicycle.
Oh my goodness. Well, we got like a little over a minute left. Let's just spit out some final thoughts. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm gonna take my time and say I want to give this time to Chris Ross. Chris Ross is probably one of the greatest San Antonio basketball players to ever play. And his stats are amazing. Granted, he plays in the Philippines, but one of my favorite memories as a kid was seeing him hit a half court shot to win the state championship. He won MVP of that game and he had 3 points. Shout out to Chris Ross.
Hell yeah. Shout out to Chris Ross, San Antonio legend. Hell yeah. That's
What you
awesome,
got?
dude. Honestly, I don't got shit. Go Spurs, go.
Go Spurs, go.